Agribusiness, brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning and welcome back to the show. We're at the 2012 Swine Days on the campus of Kansas State University. Actually, we're in the Alumni Center. We're joined by Hyatt. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I didn't tell him this, but I'm going to poke a little fun of Hyatt. We knew Hyatt when he was just a grad student, and now he's
still just a grad student.
Still just a grad student. But you've got to travel the world. I mean, you went to Australia, spent a year over there.
Yep.
Got married. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're growing up, Hyatt. There's nothing we can do about it.
I try to hold back.
There you go. And we were kind of talking off camera. I mean, you're doing a really cool research project that is geared toward the swine industry.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit more about that. And you brought up my time in Australia, and that actually is what kind of stimulated me to look into this type of thing. But in Australia and a lot of other international countries as well as the U.S., there's obviously a lot of pressure coming down on the swine industry, mainly from the consumer and animal activist side, to phase out the use of gestation stalls in favor of an alternative form of housing for sows. During my time in Australia, I was able to witness a lot of that transition firsthand and a lot of the stress that's going on within their pork industry and during that adaptation period. In doing so, they're also doing a lot of innovative research over there, some of which involves a new strategy to try to help producers transition to that new status. And that strategy involves trying to breed the sows during lactation. So we have sows in a lactation stall where they're caring for the piglets, and we believe that that's a protected area that, well, we're protecting the piglets from the sow, from lay-ons, and that could be a time period where we could possibly still be able to utilize the stall as a chance to breed the sow if we could get her to come into heat. But traditionally, sows do not express heat until they're weaned. Right. Well, there's been some research internationally, and we're now conducting a trial here at Kansas State University as a proof of concept trial, looking at trying to stimulate sows to come into heat during lactation. And so there's a couple different ways you can use different stimulation strategies, but the main components are the fact that we need to reduce the suckling stimulus, because it's the suckling of the pigs on the sow that really inhibits her reproductive function from coming back into heat. And the other is that she needs to be back in an energy neutral or positive state. She needs to have time for her reproductive tract to repair. And then you also need to use a boar to detect estrus, and the boar also seems to add a stimulation effect as well, where he helps stimulate her to come into heat. So we're conducting a kind of unique trial here at Kansas State right now. It's a little bit of a divergence from my nutrition and meat science background. It's a little bit more reproductive and management, but I think that the potential implications for the industry, I'm trying to, I guess, maybe look ahead, because I feel that the pressure on gestation stalls is going to continue to mount here in the U.S. as well. So if we can offer producers a way to improve or at least maintain productivity by getting these sows bred earlier, maybe extending the weaning age, because we could simultaneously have bred sows that are still nursing litters, and then we could wean them directly into group housing instead of going from a lactation crate to a gestation crate, and then in the lactational group housing, gestation group housing.
As you're doing that, does that change the quality of the milk that the sow's producing? And before you answer that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to let you answer that question.
Sounds good.
All right, you're watching Ag AM in Kansas. We'll see you in just a minute.
Agribusiness, brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Thanks for staying with us. Hi, thank you for staying with us. Before we went to break, I asked you a question about, does that change the quality of the milk that the sow's producing if you try to breed her earlier while she's still nursing?
And that's a great question. So first of all, I'd probably say the best answer is I don't know at this point. We would assume no, because we're not actually trying to stimulate this sow to come into heat until late in lactation. Right now we're looking at day 18 of lactation, where most producers are going to be weaning around day 21. In this strategy, we might wean them a little later, but if the sow gets bred at the same time as she would have if she was weaned normally, it shouldn't matter. Right. We haven't looked at the quality of the milk. The thing that I would doubt the quality of the milk would change significantly, but she may start to produce less milk if we are using some type of suckling strategy where we're reducing the suckling stimulus either by weaning some pigs early or by using separation periods where the sow is removed from the piglets for, say, 12 hours a day. So I would guess that there could be some time where that sow starts to dry up. She may be producing less volume of milk, But there's been some work done internationally, again, that may lend some credence to the thought that sows, that this could be like a transitional weaning. If you're providing creep feed for the piglets and the sow's slowly maybe drying up a little bit, those piglets may start on feed a little bit better, so that when they do get weaned, they have that less post-weaning lag and get caught up on feed quicker. So we're also interested in the piglet growth component of it.
Now, I mean, if you breed her earlier, can you keep those piglets on her a little bit longer? I mean, does that create a better quality piglet, a healthier piglet, you think, maybe in the long run, and keeping costs down if you're not having to feed?
Well, and that's a good question too. This is a very complex strategy we're looking at. So yeah, there's a lot of variables we need to take into account. And I guess I'd preface this by saying we're still in the early goings. Right. We don't probably have concrete answers, but these are some of the things we're interested in looking at. Yes, that is a potential advantage, that if we're breeding her, say around day 23 of lactation, and the piglets are still on her, we could possibly, leave the pigs on for a week longer than they would have been typically if we get her bred at the same time or earlier, because then there isn't any additional non-productive days. So, but there has been some research done, I believe out of the Netherlands, that has indicated that if you leave the pigs on the sow after she's bred for an extended period of time, we're talking several weeks or longer, it does negatively impact the reproductive performance of the next pairing. So we obviously don't want to do that. Right. But I think there's a big genetic component too, and we need to look at this in U.S. genetics as compared to international genetics too. So there's a lot of questions yet to be asked, but that was a good one as well.
Well, in the minute that we have left here together, let's talk real quick about genetics.
Yep.
Different in the U.S. than they are everywhere else in the world? I mean, are we growing bigger pigs for the simple fact of we're getting more out of fewer pigs?
Well, another good question. I would say that yes, genetics are different. I mean, I would say that there are other countries that do a great job as well, and based on each country's focal points, they have some strengths in some areas. Europe, for example, is well known for having extremely large litters. They have really productive sows. They maybe don't have some of the same terminal genetics that we would have. But they have a different production system as well. Where I was in Australia, they have very high lean genetics. They're very lean pigs, but that's because their consumers like really lean pork, and they kill them at light weights. So there are things that we can learn from other genetics, but genetics adapt to whatever the culture is. In the U.S., we like bacon, so we've taken pigs to heavier weights. We take them a little bit fatter, and so we've got a slightly different pig as a result of that. But we definitely have some of the best genetics in the world. I'd be confident in saying that too. So.
Hyatt, thank you for your time.
Appreciate
it's really
it.
good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm glad you're doing well.
We keep catching up all the time.
We do. It's good to see you.